Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum. Well, in this tutorial I'll explain how to use Getx. This would be pretty much for beginners, and at the end of the tutorial that part would be for advanced learners. But anyway, so I'll walk you through how to work with Getx from the scratch, and for the first 10 minutes of this tutorial we'll work a little bit on the UI, very simple UI, and then we'll jump right into Getx. Anyway, so if you want to follow along with me, just go ahead and create a new Flutter project and come to this main file and then start your app, and you'll have a user interface like this. Okay, all right. Well, now first thing first, what I'll do, I'll go ahead over here and I'll install Getx package. So I'll install it right over here. By the way, if you don't know what is Getx package, for beginners, a state management package for Flutter. It helps you with state management, routing, page transition, even a little bit of UI. It helps you with a lot of things. Okay, and Getx package is much easier to maintain and work with, especially for beginners. Anyway, so once you have this Get library over here, this is the Getx library actually, and run here pub get and it'll install the new version. Okay, anyway, so after this we'll come over here and we'll see this is our main file, and main file is calling this home page. So what we'll do, we'll go ahead and delete it. We don't need this anymore. Okay, we'll work from the scratch, and of course we'll have an error. So first I will go ahead and create a new file, and I'll call it my home page. Well, I think we'll go with like this, my home page .dart. Okay, and over here we'll create a stateless class. Okay, I'll call it my home page, and over here we'll import the package, and for now we are not passing anything. Okay, so we'll remove that parameter, and over here we'll import the package. Okay, or the library, sorry. Okay, I think we need to remove const. Let's see, and we also need to import some other dependencies. Okay, now the error should be gone. So far we have this one. Okay, so first 10 minutes again, once I said that we'll work on the UI, so I'll go ahead and build the UI. So over here, instead of returning a container, we'll return a scaffold. Okay, and within scaffold we'll have body, and over here I'll declare a container. Okay, and within container I'll define width and height. So here I would do double.max infinite, the visible width, and we'll do height, the visible height. Okay, and after that we'll have child over here, and for now our first child would be column. Okay, and within column we'll have children, and for now we'll put over here just a dummy text, hide there, just like this. Okay, and after that we'll go ahead and run our app. Okay, well, now if you come over here, you don't see anything, but the app started. All right, so where it is now, it's at the top actually, so we need to do some setup over here. So what we'll do, we'll go ahead and do cross main axis alignment. So main axis alignment, it will put it down in the center, dot center. So here you go, you see it. All right, okay, so that's what we have. And actually what I want to do, I want to go ahead and create say a container over here. Okay, so that's what I will do. So, and I'll give it width, say whatever the width I have, that width, and over here we'll give it a height, say 100, just like that, and we'll give it a bit of decoration. So we do border radius, and so let's see, sorry, let me remove this part. So we'll do a decoration, we'll do box decoration, and now here inside within it we'll do border radius. So border radius dot circular, say 30 by 20, and we'll give it color. So we'll do color OXFF, say 89DAD0. Alright, let's go ahead and boot it up, but before that I think we also need a child over here. Okay, and here we'll have a child. For now we'll call it tab. Alright, so I'll go ahead and run it. So it's there, and I want to center it, so I'll wrap it around center widget. Okay, so it's there. Alright, and inside it we'll do text style, a little bit of style. So you do text style, font size, say 20, and the color we do colors dot white. Okay, all right. Okay, now over here we want to apply a bit of padding, or I would say margin actually. So here we do const edge sets, say all 10. Okay, now let's run it, and it will look better. Let's go ahead with 20. Okay, perfect. All right, so what I will do, I'll go ahead and copy this one and put it here a few more times. So we have this few buttons. Well, now soon they would be working like as a button. Okay, well, now the first thing we want to do, we want to go ahead and be able to click on this. Okay, all right, so to do that actually we need to wrap them around a gesture detector. Okay, so that's what we'll do. So I'll build a widget around it, and over here I'll do gesture detector, and here I'll have on tap event, and for now I'll just keep it empty. So I think it's better I replace all these others with the gesture detector. Sorry. So now they are all tappable. Okay, all right. Okay, so now we want to use Getx. Well, along the way we'll change these names. Okay, well, we already installed Getx. Well, Getx, just like other state management system, it helps you to manage the state and with the routing, things like that. Okay, well, first thing first, I'll over here create a new folder, and I'll call it controllers, and within it I'll create a new file, and I'll call it say tab controller. It doesn't really matter, tab controller.dart. Okay, and over here I'll create a class, and I'll call it tab controller, and extends Getx controller. So if you want to use Getx, you should have a class, and your class should once you create a controller, that controller should extend this Getx controller, and then you'd be able to use Getx state management system. So here first I'll create a variable, and this is the variable that we want to show over here. Okay, so here what I will do, I'll say call first int x equals 0. Okay, so this is a variable that we want to create. All right, and now this is the variable we want to increase the value. So what I will do, I will create here increase x. Okay, so now over here I'll do x plus plus, that means it's increasing. Okay, all right. Now I'll create another property, and the type is also int, and over here the property is x, and we'll do get. Here we'll do x like this, and we need to switch them. Okay, so we'll call this function, and this function would increase the x value, but you see it is underscore, so this is private variable. So we declared a private variable int type in our controller, and using this get keyword we get the value of x. So this is a private variable, so this would be more like a public variable. So because you have this keyword get, that means that you can access this value x over here, access this x value from your other classes for like your home control, home page class, things like that. Okay, so over here actually you created your first Getx controller, and this is the most basic example you see in many places. Okay, all right, well, there are other more things that we need to do. Okay, so now what I will do, I will go ahead and call this function, and I'll tap on this function. So what I would expect that its value would be increased. So anyway, I would come over here, yeah, and then I would try to use this. But now this is a controller, this is also a class. So well, we just created our first controller, and this controller has this variable, and we want to access this value outside from this controller using this variable, and we'll also call this method to increase the value of this variable. And how to do that? Well, we need to come over here, okay, in our file called my home page. So here we gotta do something that is called dependency injection. Well, what it means that do something here so that I can access this class, the properties, so like this one and this one. Okay, do something. So that means initialize it, but the word is very interesting. They call it dependency injection. It sounds a very high level word. All it means that initialize this class, create an instance of this class. That's all it means. And once you create instance of this class, you'd be able to access the properties of it. Okay, so that's what we are going to do. And how to do that? Well, it's pretty easy. So all we need to do here, we need to call tab controller, and then we do Get.put. Here we'll call tab controller. That's all. That's how you create an instance of this controller. But of course there are errors, so you need to import it. So here we need to import as this package, get package. So that's what we are doing. And now here we are going to import this library. Okay, now with this, what you did, you actually initialized this controller. At the same time, you created an instance of this controller, and then now you'd be able to access this properties x and increase x from here using this. Okay, all right, so far so good. But now where we want to access this, now we want to access over here. Okay, all right, now to do that, if you're using Getx, or of course we are using Getx, over here we need to wrap it around something that's coming from Getx. Okay, the reason is because first thing is that I want this one to be clickable. Okay, I want to be able to tap on this. So we want to access, or we want to call this method over here from here. Okay, and we can do it easily. So how can we do that? So here we would call, say for example, controller. This is the variable, and then here we would call increase, okay, x, this one. That's all we want to call. Okay, now over here we'll run it and see what happens. Okay, now as you see, it says that controller has been created and it's been initialized. By the way, let's do one thing. Let's comment them out. Now see, well, you don't see any of the message. So once you have this one, and let's see, so it's been created and initialized even if you don't use it. So you get a message from Getx that the controller is tab controller, it's been created and initialized. Okay, and now I want to use this. Okay, anyway, so now let's go ahead and click on this, and now let's tap on this. Let's see what happens. Nothing happens, but of course we are being tapped. All right, now what you could do, you could come over here and try to print this value, and we'll see what's there. Okay, now let's run it one more time. Okay, now let's tap on this, and the value is 1, value is 2, value is 3. Okay, so it means that once we are calling this function, we are able to view this value. Okay, all right, through this print method, and we know that the value is being increased. Okay, so that's what we know, and it means that from here I'm calling this controller class and the value is increased and we know it. Okay, so that's for sure. All right, now this is really good, but we want to show this value up here. Okay, we want to show this. All right, well, to do that, we could do one thing here. We can copy this container, and I'll just put it right up there. Okay, put a comma. All right, so this is the place where I want to show the value. Okay, now so that means that this part, the value, this one has to be dynamic. Okay, as I click on this, I want the value should reflect immediately over here. Okay, so that's why we need to wrap this one something called GetBuilder, because we want to get the updated value over here and see it. Well, there are many ways to do that using Getx, but the first approach we'll use is called GetBuilder. So what I will do, I'll cut this one over here, and here I would do GetBuilder, this one. Okay, all right, now it has a parameter called builder, and over here builder takes it is a property called builder, and it takes a parameter as a function. Now here we can simply pass any name we want, but here we'll just say tab controller. Okay, and then we'll return. Okay, here we need a return function. By the way, now what is this tab controller? Well, now GetBuilder actually takes a controller class, as you can see over here. Things like that, GetBuilder, Getx Controller, it's required. So it needs something that returns a controller. Okay, so that's what it returns. Needs something. So here we need to tell what kind of controller we are passing for this GetBuilder, or GetBuilder should have access. So we should have access to tab controller, this one. Okay, all right, now this variable should be tab controller type. Of course you can name it anything. Anyway, now here we'll return our container, the one we copied earlier. Okay, all right, so now because of this one, whatever happens here, because we are increasing the value, and after tapping the value should be reflected over here. That's what at least we want. Okay, okay, so now over here, definitely one thing we could do here, we would replace this word tab, and we want to access this value x. Okay, but we said earlier, because of this x, we can access this value, so we'll call this one. Okay, so here, how do you call this? So here simply we can just go ahead and copy this one. Here we would say tab controller dot x. Okay, all right, so that's all we have. Let's see, so this is an integer, so we need to cast it to string. Okay, all right, Now let's go ahead and run it and see what's going on. Okay, this is the value. Now you tap over here. Well, now you see the value has been increased to 1. Initial value was 0, right? Try again. Now the value is 2, but there is no change over here. Well, now the reason is because even if it's being updated over here, but this home page has no idea. Even though we are using controller and its instance, well, it's missing another important property or method, which is called update. So there is a method in Getx which is called update. So if you update a value and you want other screen to be able to know this updated value, then you should call this function update. Okay, right after increasing or decreasing or whatever you do, right after that you should call this. Okay, all right. So once the value has been increased, because we have this update method and our home page is using this controller, so using GetBuilder we would be notified immediately that this value has been updated, so we can access them from here. So let's go ahead and check this once again. Now tap on this, you see the value has increased immediately, and over here it's the same. All right, so it is that easy to access the value, the updated value, using Getx, and it becomes really simple. All right, so here one thing that I want to tell you once again, and which might be confusing. So this is called a dependency injection. Okay, that's what we did here. Okay, now let's see if we don't use a tab controller, this one over here, like we did over here to access the value. So can we just use a controller over here, and let's see what happens. So over here I'll just simply call controller.x, okay, because once again controller is the instance of this tab controller. Here this tab controller is instance of this tab controller, but we know they're the same tab controller. Okay, now let's go ahead and see. So now let's increase the value, and here it increases automatically. So that also means that over here you don't need this one, you can keep it empty. All right, so it means empty, but GetBuilder has to know. But GetBuilder has to know what kind of controller is it, so that's why you need this, otherwise you will get error. Okay, now here let's try this. You increase the value and the value is increasing. Isn't it amazing? Okay, so you need to know that once you have injected the controller over here, you may not need it. Okay, and actually we should not need it, otherwise this would be a repeat of the work that we have done. Okay, now what we want to do, we want to click on this and we want to go to another page. And how do we go and how do we come back? And we'll see this using Getx. Okay, well, to do that I'll create over here, say, another file, and I'll call it first class. Just call it first class.dart. Okay, or first page actually. Now we'll create a stateless class because we are using Getx. Getx will maintain all the state for us, so we don't need to create a stateful class. We can create a stateless class. Now over here we'll call it first page. All right, okay, now instead of returning a container, we'll return a scaffold over here, and within scaffold we'll have body, and then we'll have container over here. And I think let's see, we can just copy this section over here. Okay, so that's what we have. And now over here we'll have child, and within child we'll have a column. Okay, now within column we'll have children, and here first we'll once again create once again, instead of doing this, I can just copy paste this kind of container, one of the containers that we have. Okay, just copy the container, so we don't need to type everything. So here I'll put this one. Okay, now what we want to do, actually say this one. This is the second container, which is this one. So over here we want to go to the, from here we want to go to the first page. Okay, so here I'll just say go to first page. All right, now let's save it. Oh, I think it was the third one, but it really doesn't matter which one it is. Okay, so second one is this one. So what we want to do, we want to click on this, we want to go to this page, first page. Okay, all right. All right, so now here we do have this one, so this on tap event. So here we can just say, for example, Get.to. Now here we'll mention our class name. Okay, so here we do first page, this one. I'll import it, and I think we also need an arrow function over here. Okay, now this Get.to is coming from Getx, and it helps you to do navigation. Okay, so Get.to, within it, whatever the class name you return, it goes to that page. Okay, that's what it does. All right, so now here I'll go ahead and run it. Okay, now I'll click on this, and let's see, we do have an error. Okay, so while this error is normal, it says you are trying to use contextless navigation without get material or get key. So, well, once you start to navigate to different pages using Getx, because here I'm using Getx because this is the Get.to is coming from Getx, and I said this is for navigation. In that case, your material app, which is this one, it should be wrapped using get material. So, or simply just get material, this one. Okay, otherwise you will get an error. Of course, we need to import the library. That's what we'll do. Import the Getx library. Okay, all right. So now let's go ahead and run it, and you can go to this page, right? So this is where we came. All right, now this is interesting. Just now we saw that we had an error. We had this error. Okay, let's see. While we are doing this tapping, we didn't have this error. Okay, but once we click on this, we showed this error. So that means that you can use Getx without navigation, just for state management, like increasing, decreasing value, or access certain value in your app. In that case, you don't need to wrap your get material app or material app using get material. Okay, if you just use for accessing different values but not for navigation, then you don't need this. Otherwise, you need to have access to this one. So now we know that we can go to this page and we see something. But now one thing though, we want to go back to previous page. So here simply a few things I'll do here. I'll use an app bar over here, and I'll call it app bar. And over here I'll use leading, and I'll wrap it around icon button so that it's clickable. And now here I'll have on pressed event. Okay, and at the same time I'll have a child over here. Okay, I think it's an icon actually. So icon, and now here within it I'll have an arrow button. Okay, arrow, go back, this one. All right, and here colors dot black. Okay, so that's what we want to have. All right, now let's go ahead and click on this. So this is what we have. So now what we did over here, we were able to come back to this one. Now we want to go back. Now of course we can go back the traditional classical way, like writing the long text like get material page, go back, things like that. But now because we are trying to learn Getx, so here we can just simply do Get.back, and it will take you to the previous page. And over here we need to import the package once again, the Getx package. All right. Okay, now let's go ahead and run it. So let's see, we are doing this work and it's working. At the same time we tapped over here. Now we want to go back. All right, now we are able to go back, come back to our first route, and we see the value is still 4, which didn't change. And we tap it again, and now you go back to this page and you can come back. Okay, you can do this one. All right, now the purpose of creating this page, actually I want to access this value in this page. Okay, that's what we want. All right, so now we need to come to this page over here. Now we need to access the value of this x, which one we created early, and we increase the value. How to do that? Well, just like over here, we learned that we need an instance of this controller, and then we can access it. But do remember, in Getx, you just create an instance of a controller only once in your application's lifetime, and most of the time, things could be different, but in general only once. So we already created once over here. Now we can find this one easily in other classes. Okay, we don't need to create the instance again. All we need to do, find this one. So we'll come over here, and over here we can find it. Okay, now finding it, there are many different ways to find it. Okay, let's look at the first way. So here I would do, say, var controller. Here I would do get.find. Okay, actually I need to mention the name. So tab controller, this one. So now because of this one, because as you can see, get.find finds a controller. What controller? From this name it knows that what controller it should find. Okay, so now using this line we are able to find tab controller in a different class. Okay, as simple as that. Now over here we want to access the value of this x. Okay, we want to access it over here. So what we could do, we could just go ahead and simply call controller dot x dot toString. All right, okay, so once again this value is coming from here. Okay, now let's go ahead and run it. Now I tap on this, okay, and the value increase. Now it's a 7. I want to go to this page and I would expect 7, and I did. That's as simple as that. Now go back again, tap on it, increase the value, go back to first page, and you see 11. Isn't it beautiful? Okay, all right, now over here I'm getting the new value. Okay, all right, now just like earlier page over here, we learned that you can wrap your container around GetBuilder. Okay, so over here we can do the same thing, but here actually we want to do a bit of different thing. Okay, we want to create another button over here, and we want to be able to click on this and decrease the value, and we'll see the value has been decreased here. And once we go back, we see that value is reflected. The changed value has been reflected over here. So that's what we want to do. So we'll come over here in our first page. First page over here. Now, or actually we can come to this place and copy one of them. Okay, and I'll put right below this container. Okay, and let's see. Now I'll run it. I'll go to this first class, which is this one, and I see over here. Now over here I want to decrease the value. So here I'll call decrease x. Okay, whatever the x value was. Okay, all right. So once I tap on this button, I want to decrease. Okay, now this button has on tap event, which is this one, but this is increased value, which is over here. Okay, now we can just simply go ahead and copy this, put it over here. Instead of increase, we'll call it decrease x. Okay, and instead of this, we'll have minus minus. We still need the update everywhere you want to access, so we don't need this anymore. So this update is more like setState. I think you guys know this function. Okay, it's pretty much the same, I think. So now we have this function created. Now we can access this one over here. So instead of increase, so here do decrease x. Okay, now let's see. Okay, so let's go ahead and run it from the beginning. So tap on it, the value is increasing. I go to page first, now I see 5, and now I click on this, and I want the value to be decreased. Let's see, but the value didn't decrease. Let's see why not. Okay, now the value didn't decrease because well, actually the value did decrease. Okay, now if we put a print method over here, okay, and print x over here, it did. Okay, let's run it from the scratch and tap on it, and it increased. We go to the first page, and we see the value. Now over here I clicked, you see it's 4 here, and over here I see 5. Over here it's a 3, I still see 5, but if I go back I'll see 3, right? But of course if I go back here I still see 3, but once you click on this, the value decreases, but it's not reflected there. Well, can you tell me why? You have 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Well, I bet you did. Well, the reason is because this container is not wrapped around GetBuilder. Because GetBuilder, because we said early, if you wrap something around GetBuilder would be notified about the latest value. So this container right now is not notified the latest immediate value. It knows the latest value, but not immediate value. How it knows the immediate value? Like, for example, if you tap on this, it increases, it come here, so this is the latest value. But you decrease, it doesn't know about the latest immediate value. Okay, so to do that, as I said early, so we can wrap it, we need to wrap it around GetBuilder. So that's what we'll do. Okay, GetBuilder. So here, now we don't need any controller, because we already have the controller at the top, as I said early, over here. Okay, so now here I'll just simply return. Okay, and then I'll try to run it, but I think we'll have an error. Let's go ahead and see the error. Okay, so tap on this and go to the first page, and we have this error. Let's see. As I said, we'll have an error. So you might have this error a lot of time if you work with Getx. The error is actually the reason I told you earlier over here. So here the GetBuilder needs to know what type of controller is it. Okay, so it's a tap controller. Okay, now you go ahead and tap on this. It increases. We go there, and now we click on this, it decreases. Now once we go back, we still see 4. Okay, go back, we see 6. Click on this, it becomes 4. Okay, so that's how Getx work together. Getx work with, Getx GetBuilder works. Okay, so it needs to know what controller is this. All right, otherwise it won't work. All right, so far so good. So now over here, actually, I want to create a new page, go to a new page, and from that page, I want to go to another page, and in that page, we want to see this value, okay? Things like that. So what I will do, I'll just simply go ahead and create over here a new file, and I will call it second page .dart, okay? All right. Now here, once again, I will create a stateless class, and I will call it second page. Now over here, we'll do scaffold. Okay, and for this scaffold, to be quick, actually, I think I can copy all of this over here. Okay, and delete part of it because I don't want to keep typing. Nobody wants. All right, and over here there is this app bar which we don't need, and well, also this whole section we don't need. Okay, all right, but anyway, so what I want to do, I want to click on this button and go to this second page, and another thing actually we could do, come to this page, and where it says this one, so I'll copy this one and put it there, and let's see. Okay, that's all. All right. Okay, now let's go ahead and run it. Let's make sure everything is okay. So this is our page over here, tab. Okay, so here we want to say second page. All right, let's save it. Okay, second page. So we want to click on this over here and go to this second page. Okay, so here what we do Get.to. Over here we do second page. And we need to import the library. So now let's click on this. Okay, and make sure no errors. Now click on this, we go to the second page, and that's what we see. All right, okay, now come to second page over here, and I want to set up this property which is called main axis alignment. Dot center. So it will put in center. Okay, now we want to click on this and go to another page. Okay, so that's what we want to do. So what I'll do, I'll go ahead, well, I think first I can copy this whole scaffold because I don't want to keep typing. So over here I'll create a file and I'll call it third page .dart. Okay, and once again we'll create a stateless class. Here I'll call third page. Okay, and instead of this one I'll have this, and we need to import some libraries. Okay, now the error should be gone. Okay, now as I said earlier, from second page, which is this one, we want to go to the third page. Now let's go to the second page and gesture detector over here, and over here we do Get.to. Now over here we do third page. So now let's go ahead and run it. Looks like we have an issue over here. So I'll import the package. Well, let's come over here, go to second page, new tab. Well, on the second page, actually, we want to write, go to third page. Okay, and once I click on this, it takes me to third page. Okay, Now over here on the third page, we want to access this value, this X value. Okay, that's what we want to do that. And how to do that? But as I said earlier, we already initialized our controller over here, and it could be accessed anywhere in your app. So I'll come over here, and within this scaffold over here, sorry, this build method here, I would do tab controller. You can name it anything. Controller Get.find. Get.find. Yeah, that's all. Okay. All right. And all we need to do, we need to import this, and also import the Getx package. All right. Now the error should be gone. So over here, I can get the value of X. Sorry, we don't need this one. We don't want to be able to tap on this. We want to get the value. So here we want to say controller dot X to string. Okay. So once I'm on this page, I want to get the value of X. So let's start from the scratch. Okay. All right. Now I want to tap it. So value is 6. I go to the first page. I see value 6. Now I decrease it by 2. I go to first page again. I mean our home page. And then I go to second page. Of course, second page we don't see anything. But when I want to go to the third page, I want to see this value. Okay, so I'm here third page and the value is 4. Isn't it amazing? Okay, it's absolutely amazing. With Getx becomes much more simpler. Okay, but of course we need to find a way to go back to our home page. Okay. All right. So now here we want to go back to our home page. So simply we could call Get.to here my home page. Okay, my home page. So that's how you'll go back to home page. And let's see. Okay, so let's click on this and tap the value, go to the first page, decrease 1, go to the home page again, go to the second page, third page, you see 4, and you click on this, you come back to first page and you still see 4. All right, that's beautiful. Okay, so now over here, as you see, we are trying to access the value. First we find it and then we access the value. But I think there is another way to access this. You can access it like this. Okay, you need to do Get.find, and over here, so you can tell the type of controller it should find, tab controller, and then you can access whatever property is available, just like this. Okay, and then we do to string. Now error is gone. Now what I would do, I'd go ahead and comment this out. Now I'll run it. Okay, tap on this, it increased, go to the first page, decrease, go to the second page, third page, and you see 3. Okay, so finding a controller and its instance, you can also do like this: Get.find this arrows, 2 arrows, and after that you need this brackets, and then you can access the properties, whatever properties you want. Okay, well, so once again, here we don't need GetBuilder because we don't want the value to be updated immediately after clicking, because we are coming here from another page, and once we come here from another page, we can always, because it's a new request, so we can always get the latest value. Okay, all right. Okay, so far so good. And now if we come to our tab controller over here, now this value is int type. Well, and this int type value, we get access to our pages using GetBuilder. So that's what we saw earlier, right? So int type values you can access using GetBuilder. But there is another type actually that you can use. We would say RxInt, and we'll declare new value and we'll call it y. Okay, and Obs. Okay, so now we declared this variable y, and we can get it using y over here. And at the same time, we can copy this two functions over here, and I'll put them there, and instead of x, I'll call it y, and the same over here. And now instead of increasing the value of x, we'll do the increase of value of y. And now here we need to do value, because OBS has other properties, so you just want to increase the value, so we need to do dot value plus plus, and over here it's the same, y dot value, and we don't need this update anymore. Okay, we don't need any of this. So once your variable is OBS type, or it has OBS property, you don't need this update. You only need update if your value or variable is just a simple type like int, list, things like that. Okay, variable type like that. Anyway, so once your variable is OBS type, you need to use the value property to increase or decrease them. Okay, all right, now what we'll do, we'll go ahead to come to our third page over here, and over here actually we want to create another two new controllers. Okay, all right, so here before we go ahead and create, we can just simply say x value. Okay, yeah, and now let's save it. So x value is 0. All right, so we'll go ahead and copy them. So here we'll go ahead and copy them, and I'll put it here. Well, for now we don't need this tab button, and but on the other hand, I want to increase the value over here of y. Okay, all right, well, to do that, I already have this. We can access our tab controller either using this, or over here the way we did, using this one like this. Okay, all right, so we will just copy this one. Sorry, so we'll copy this one, and we'll put it over here. Okay, and we want to access the method which says increase y. All right, okay, so with this we'll get the increased value. Okay, all right, now over here you see I have this x value, which is this one, and this is for y value. So we need to change here by saying y. Okay, all right, and once I click on this, actually we also don't need this one over here, so we'll say increase y, just like that. Okay, increase y, let's save it. Okay, so increase y, so this is the current x value. Once we click on this, we come over here and we see the value. So we go to second page, and we see our x value is there. Okay, now we want to put here our y value. Okay, all right, and how to do that? Well, to do that, actually we can copy this one first, and over here, now the increased y value, do remember that y, the variable type is OBS, so we need to wrap it around Obx. All right, and then we'll just simply call this container. Okay, now instead of here x value, we'll write here y value, and instead of this x, we'll get y dot value. remember, not just y, you want to get y dot value like that, okay? Or in fact you can change it a little bit even over here, dot value, okay? So let's see, can we get it? Looks like we can't, so there might be other casting operator, which we don't want to do that for now, okay? So what will happen right now, so this contain, let's save it, okay? So this is y value, and once I click on this, y value would increase and show up over here, okay? That's what we want. Now let's try to click on this, and y value has been increased, okay? Y value is 4, 5, 6. Now I click on this, I increase the x value, I go to the second page, I come back, I see x value has been increased, okay? And now we want to do another thing. We want to click on this, we want to create another button. That button would increase the value of x and, would add the value of x and y and show over here, right? Okay, so that's what we want to do. Well, for this one, let's see. So we can copy this one over here, and we'll put it there. Let's see. Now here you'd say total, okay? All right, total x plus y, all right? Okay, and we want to create another button which we'll show here. But now let's work on this tab event over here. So of course we don't want to get increase right now, right? We want to get a different thing. So once we click on this, we want to, let's see, so we want to add these two values, okay? Well, to do that, actually here I can create another method. We'll call it void total x y, okay? All right, now over here I want to add x value plus y value, okay? All right, y dot value, all right? So this would be our total value. So once I click on this, this would be added, and once they're added, actually well, if they're added, actually we can save them in a new variable. So we'll call it int z equals 0. So here int z, okay? So once I click on them, they would be added and saved, and then we can also retrieve it. How do you retrieve? Int get z, like this, okay? So now I can access this z from somewhere else, okay? Now I want to access it over here. So once I click on this, the value would be increased immediately, and actually we can do that and check it out over here, z, all right? So now let's go ahead and run it once again. So now we have 3 for x value. We go to the second page, third page, and for now y is 0, x is 3. We can see now we increase the y value. So now y value is 4, x value is 7. Now I want to click on them, and here let's see. Okay, so it looks like this is not clickable yet because I'm not calling it. So over here I need to do get, let's see, we do have an error. Sorry, this is total, right? Total xy. Okay, so that's what we want. Let's save it. Okay, now click on this. The total value is 9. Okay, so it's always 9. Now you increase y, so we'll see it's 10, right? So we see 10. All right, of course we can click on this, but it will take us to this page. We'll increase by 8, and we'll go to this page, come over here. So now here we'll see the total value is 15. Okay, so we want to reflect it over here. Okay, all right. So how to do that? So we'll come over here, and actually now what we could do, we can cut this one. So we can declare a column. So you can wrap your column inside Obx. Here I have this children, and one is for X, and that is for the total value. So this is the X value, right? So sorry, I think this is the Y value. Let's save it, nothing changed. So here I'll just copy this one and put it there. Okay, so now here instead of Y we'll write it total value. Okay, total value. Now here we already saw that we can call Z. So Z is our new variable that we declared, and it has the value of X and Y together. Okay, now let's save it so we see Z there. Okay, so now you increase Y, it's 9. Okay, now we'll see 20 if I click on this. All right, so we have this 20, but looks like the value didn't increased immediately. Well, okay, well now that's because we wrapped it around Obx, right? But Z is not type of Obx, so most probably we can go ahead and change the type of Z. So here I would do RxInt Z. All right, now here we do OBS, and now here we just want to get the value. All right, and now here we do value. Okay, so now the error should be gone. So now Z is Obx type, so we need to get the value for it, and once we add two values we also need to put it in the Z as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and run it from the beginning and let's see everything. So now X is 4, now you go to the second page, third page, X is 4, Y is 0, so now we increase it, Y 3, X 4, now we get the total value which is 7. Now we increase Y again, so now we are supposed to see 10 if we click on this, so we'll see 10. Beautiful, right? Okay, now so far everything is good and everything has been working inside one controller. Now we want to create a different controller. So here actually I created a controller.
能说话吗？不是这个，你适合这种，应该是适合那个。
好的，谢谢。So I created a controller over here, a new controller, and over here I have this list that I created. Okay, and in this list I have two properties that I want to be able to access from outside world. One is this list, which is this one, because this is private, and I have this other method which get values. I think we can set it to set values because we want to set the value in the list. Okay, so what do you want to do? This created value, whatever the value has been summed up over here, we want to save it to this list. So here on page 3 we'll create a new button which will call this one. Okay, and then based on that call we'll save the value in this list, and from home page we'll retrieve this list and access the value. Okay, so that's what we want to do. So let's come over here, and so over here this is our third page, and on third page here one more time what I will do, I'll go ahead and click on this, copy this one. Now over here I will have this method over here. Okay, but now in this case instead of list controller we want to get tab controller. Okay, now tab controller, actually what I could do, I can initialize over here. Sorry, the list controller I can initialize over here. I would do list controller, list controller, get.put, here list controller. Let's import the library. We are good. Okay, now over here, this is where we are, and over here we want to send the value, the added value, to this method over here. Okay, so in the third page over here we'll call okay, so over here we need to call listController, and listController has this method which is called setValues, and here we pass the value of the added value. Now added value is in tab controller, right? So here we'll just do once again Get.find tab controller, and here we want to get z, right? Z dot value. Let's see. So let's come to our tab controller, which is we just want to get z because the value is already here. So we'll just simply call z, okay, and we pass it down to it. All right, and once we click on this, it will update the value over here, and in fact we'll be able to print the list. Okay, print list. All right, okay, let's save it. So this is the value. Now we need to change the name. Over here we are in the third one, so here save total. Here we'll call save total. Okay, save total. So once I click on this, what will happen, it would fall back to this on tap event, and it will find the controller and set the values and save it, right? Okay, so it will set the value over here in the list controller. Okay, so now let's go ahead and check it. Okay, so the value has been added, which is 10, right? Okay, now here one thing we could do, let's increase y value. Okay, now get the total. So total is 12, right? Now here let's save it. Now you see in the list we have two values, 10 and 12. Okay, so the previous value is still saved. Now what we could do, we could go back to our home page over here. Now we can increase it. Now you get third page. Now over here, let's see, so our y is x is 8, y is 8, right? So now you get the total, which is 16. Let's click on this, you save it. Now we have 16, right? Perfect. So that's what we wanted, and everything is working so far so good as we expected. Now I want here you to learn one thing, that first you can find controllers like this or controllers like this. Okay, and you can do the dependency injection like this. Okay, and once again you can put the injected dependency anywhere in your file, and you can access it from other places. So now here this list controller saves the value, right? So we can actually show it on home page as well anyway, right? But we don't want to do that. Now another important lesson I would want you to learn from here is that now we have this controller that we instantiated over here and another controller that we did. But now if you have too many controllers, they might be scattered everywhere, but you don't want to do that. So in that case, what you could do, you could create a new file. Say I'll call it, say, a directory. I'll call it, say, helper, and within helper I'll create a new file and I'll call it init controllers.dart. Okay, now over here I want to put all of my controllers, and here from here I'll declare all of my controller so they are organized. Okay, so here I'll create a class, and the class type is future void, and the method name is init, and I'll call it, it would be async type, In general, you don't need, but in most cases, it should be asynced. Now over here, I'll initiate or instantiate the controllers. So first over here, I have this in my home page. I have this one, so I can just cut this one over here. I don't need this, and I'll put it here. So here we'll initialize our controller. So we do Get.put, and here we'll call tab controller. Okay, and at the same time, we can also initialize our list controller. Okay, list controller. All right. Okay, so this is how our two controllers will be initialized. If you have more controllers, you should put all the controllers in a file like this, in a class or method like this. Okay, now if we come over here, let's see, we might have a few errors over here. Okay, because the controllers, it was initialized over here, and at the same time we're able to get it. Okay, so that's why it's throwing an error. But now anyway, so we need to come to our main file, main.dart over here. So what we'll do over here, we'll call our init method. Okay, all right, so first we need to import the package. So we'll do import. So we need to manually import it, and we get it as di, and then we get the init method, because init controllers has init method, right? So that's what we got. And now here we need to do a wait async. All right, and even before that, we need to use another widget bindings, widget binding. So we need to get this one, otherwise we'll get an error. Okay, now before our app starts to run, because of this too, we'll make sure that our dependencies, which are this two, they have been initialized. Okay, and make sure you call this one, because this one actually makes sure that our dependencies has been initialized, and then we run it. Okay, otherwise it will get an error. Okay, that's good, but how about this error over here? We still have this error. Okay, controller X. Now do remember, we are being initialized over here in main method from this file. Now all we need to do, we need to find the controller and call them. So how to do that? Just like before, tab controller dot controller dot get.find. Okay, all right, now the error should be gone. Okay, so this is how we find the controller. Okay, remember, this is not initialization, this is finding. All right, so finding, and this is called binding, and binding, actual binding happens over here. All right, okay, so and now let's check our other places, and let's check the third place and everywhere. Okay, so far so good. All right, so let's go ahead and run it. Tab controller is not found. Let's see which page it's missing. That explained over here. My home page. So instead of put, let's try LazyPut. LazyPut, and it would do the same over here. Okay, now let's go ahead and run it. Okay, the error has been gone. So you can initialize it using put and LazyPut. Any of them is fine. Here you can do all these things you want. You go to this page, decrease, you go back to previous page, and you go to second page over here, and you see the Y value, so we can increase the X value. Okay, you tap on this, we get the total value. You can save the total value, which is over here. Okay, so this is all about our Getx package, how to use GetBuilder, Obx, and how to do this initialization of your controllers. But now there is another way of doing that, this initialization. And for that one, actually we can create another class over here. It's say init dependency dot. Okay, now over here we'll call class init dep implements bindings. Okay, all right, now we need to import our Getx package, otherwise we'll get error. So import get. All right, now one error is gone, but we have another error. So it needs this dependency. This is coming from, I think, from Getx package. So now here we can also put our dependencies instead of this one. Okay, so now we need to import the classes and libraries. Let's see. Okay, now what about this one? So if you want to initialize your dependencies through this function, special function, which is called dependency, which is coming from bindings, well, in that case over here you don't need any of this. Okay, so for this one, what do you do to come over here within get material? Here there is a property called initial bindings, and here you will call init dep your class. Okay, all right, and then it would still work. Okay, and it does, as we see, increasing the value. Go to the second page, the third page, you can increase y, and then you can do the total, which is over here. All right, okay, so far everything's working fine. So for dependency injection, you can do three ways. One is this way, the other one is this way, and the very first one we saw earlier over here, like using Get.put. all right, okay, so that's pretty much we learned about Getx today. Anyway, so if you learned something, don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button. Thank you.